In order to become a fluent improviser, I believe that we need to hear the notes that we're playing. And when I'm practicing scales, I'm trying to learn how to hear the sound of the scale, not just learn fingerings in a position. Now, learning fingerings in position is important to get familiar with, certain aspects of the guitar neck. But if you want to expand upon that, I recommend trying to play scales from the lowest part of the guitar neck to the highest part of your guitar neck. Now, one thing that I like to do is to try to hear my way from the bottom of the guitar to the top of the guitar. Not memorize, these 3-octave fingerings, although that could be useful for certain things. What we're talking about today is developing your ears and developing your knowledge of the fretboard, but using your ears to guide you. Now, what I'll try to do is take a scale, like an F major scale, let's say, and I'll start it on F, way down here on the 1st fret, and I'll try to play it without a memorized fingering. Now you may have noticed that the fingering was different descending than it was ascending. That's because I'm actually playing these scales by ear. They're not memorized fingerings. I'm just basically hearing the scale in my head and singing it and letting my hands just follow my ear. Now this is something that takes a while to develop, but I recommend highly that you practice this because this is one of the big keys to unlocking the fretboard, being able to hear your way up and down the fretboard and not only just visualize or memorize things. Those things are important, but I think it's probably more important to learn how to hear the intervals so you can achieve some freedom on the neck. So when I'm improvising and I'm moving all over the guitar neck, it's not necessarily because I have all of these positions memorized and I'm just going through them sort of robotically. That's not the way I'm playing. I'm actually, hearing the notes in my head and letting my ear guide my hands. So what this leads to is more fluid improvisation and more melodic playing, I believe. One thing that you can do is to try to play these scales up and down, but don't use your normal memorized patterns. So for example, if you memorized an F major scale and the beginning of it looks like this, a very typical 3-note per string fingering. For this exercise, perhaps you would go. See, I shifted from the 6th string to the 5th string, going from the C to the D, instead of doing the normal fingering that I have memorized. Now I have these 3-note per string and traditional scale fingerings memorized. Those are very helpful, but we're trying to get out of those so you're just relying on your ear and not just patterns. So to continue on, maybe I'll shift to another string. Maybe I'll go up that string for a while, then I'll shift, change strings. Now on my guitar I have 24 frets, but you might be playing a guitar that has 22. It doesn't matter. Just go to the top of the fretboard, however far you can go, and then turn around and come back. Now when you come back, try again to just hear the intervals and play them and don't think about your finger patterns. You'll see how I just went down one string there, but I could have gone. Now there are many fingerings that you could use to play an F major scale up and down the guitar neck, so I would encourage you to change strings in the places that you're not used to changing to mix it up for yourself so you're relying on your ear. And practice doing this up and down the guitar neck until you feel fluid. Then after you're done with this, and you can actually play the scale up and down without making mistakes, and you're really relying on your ear, and you're not memorizing what you're playing, you're just focusing on half steps and whole steps with your ear. You're not thinking about theory so much, you're just hearing the sound. Then I would experiment with doing improvisation on this. So I've spent many hours with scales just hearing melodies in the scale, going up and down the guitar neck. You know, I don't think about scales as, as a technical thing, actually. I always think of scales as being melodies. So even if I'm playing this, to me that sounds like a melody. I'm not thinking technically about it, I'm thinking musically about it. So, you know, an F major scale, yes, you can look at it on the paper and analyze it, which I've done, and you should do, and understand what it is, understand what the notes are, understand what the key is. But for me, when I'm playing it on the instrument, I want it to be a melody, because that's how it's going to serve me the best. If I think about it as this thing that I need to memorize, that doesn't help me as much. If I think of it as potential music and potential melodies, then that's something that I will be able to use in my solos and my compositions. So the thing that I really like to do is just improvise with this. You saw in that example that I'm improvising, but I'm using the scale as a scale. I'm not arpeggiating that much, a little bit when I hear it, but I'm really trying to play it as a scale, but make it sound like a melody. But move it around and, just improvise with it a little bit. So the idea here is to be practicing scales. That's the idea. But practicing them by ear and using them and thinking of them as actual melodies. Again, like I said, I've been practicing this for years with all of the different scales, the modes of the major scale, melodic minor, harmonic minor, diminished scales, whole tone scales, so on and so forth. And if you do this enough, I think you'll find that your solos and your knowledge of the fretboard will really, really open up, and you'll start to see the neck as one large group of notes. Instead of little boxes of positions. Now again, like I said before, it's not bad to think of boxes and positions, because we've talked about that in the lessons before, that those things are very important and I use those a lot. But if you want to expand and really know the guitar in both ways, if you want to know it like the whole thing as one, and you want to be able to see the parts within it, then this scale practice exercise I think is essential.